everyone and a very warm welcome to the latest in our series of Coffee in Palestine. I'm Nell Burden. Today I'm in the archaeological site of Sebastia near Nablus. This grand archaeological park has overlaying histories from Byzantine, Crusaders, Roman all the way to the Ottoman Empire. Yet it also lies between dual jurisdictions, between Israeli area-controlled C and Palestinian-controlled B. This has affected the very nature and conservation of the site, and I've come here to find out more. Abdulrahim, thank you very much for joining us today and a very warm welcome to Coffee in Palestine. Now you're working as the head of conservation in the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. I'd like to know first of all, why is Sebastia so special?
Sebastia is so special because it's history. It's local history and different periods of its history. The city first established early at the 9th century BC as a local capital for the inner parts of Palestine, and still of its importance until now.
Now I'd just like you to explain, we're sitting amongst Roman ruins at the moment. Just explain exactly where we are and how big is this site that extends from here?
We are here exactly at the borders between the old city, which is the Acropolis to the right, and the new city, which is the Roman city. We are sitting exactly here at the center. What we have there to the left is what they call the Forum, which is the center of the city. And here what we see is part of the Basilica, the Roman Basilica, which belongs to the 1st century AD.
Now clearly there are many issues with the site. Initially when I walked in I saw there's smashed glass everywhere. This beautiful basilica is covered in graffiti. Now I know this is between Area C in Israel and Area B for the Palestinian Authority. Who controls this site?
Unfortunately, according to the Oslo Agreement, which held between the Israelis and the Palestinian Authority, divided the city into two sections, and that harmed the history and the picture of the city. Exactly, we are here at the line in between the two areas, which is Area C, which is under the control of the Israelis, which includes the old city, the part of the Roman city, and also the Iron Age city. The second section includes the old city, the old village, which is the Arab Islamic, and many other buildings belonging to Byzantine, Crusader, and Arab Muslim periods.
That's all in Area C, or
in Area B, which is under the control of the Palestinian Authority. But you know, one city, one history, one picture, to be cutted, this is not works. You can't manage the site. You can't give the history for the people who are the visitors who comes here. If you are not able to give them the whole story, the whole picture, it will not work.
Now there's a clear issue here. We were discussing it earlier, you were talking about the looting of the area by Israelis and the illegal excavations of certain areas that are destroying this historic area.
The looting is the big problem here in Sebastia, especially when the looting is dealing with the tombs and burials, archaeological tombs and burials, which is found all about 80% in Area C, around the place. Every time, daily and night, still continuing and digging and looting every object here. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to enter this area with our policemen as Palestinians, because we don't have the right, we don't have the permission from the Israelis, and the Israelis do nothing for that.
Right. So tell me more about this one particular site which the Israelis are now excavating. Tell me about the history of the area. You told me before it's an amphitheatre that they're beginning to excavate underneath, and they're also building another road which is destroying the area.
To say about that, the Israelis are just dealing with a specific area, with a specific period. The specific area, which is the biblical period. The biblical period in Sebastia, and also the biblical place in Sebastia, includes not more than 10% of the whole area of Sebastia. But they are working just on this period.
So what's their reason behind these archaeological digs? And have you actually spoken to any UN bodies or agencies about the work they're doing?
I think, as I told you before, I think that what they are interested in just a story, a story in their mind. They are not interested in the archaeology as its whole. We are looking at Sebastia as its long history with different periods. We are interested even in Iron Age period, Roman period. This is the history of, this is the picture, this is the story of Sebastia. But they are cutted its story just for one thing, which is the 10% of the story of Sebastia.
Are they giving a false story of Sebastia?
The same, exactly.
And what's their story of Sebastia?
The story of the Sebastia, the founder of Sebastia, during the Iron Age, we believe that Amri established this city.
I'm talking about the Israeli story of Sebastia.
The Israeli story of Sebastia, we show you the building and give you different stories from their mind.
And what's their story? What are they trying to fight for here?
Yani, what they are trying to find is to show all the world that this is just Israeli.
Abdurrahim, I'd like you to show me some of the sites, particularly where the Israelis are excavating. But I'd just like to say thank you very much for talking to me this morning and for joining us for coffee in Palestine.
Thank you for coming. You're coming here. You're welcome.
Dr. Rahim showed me the Israeli bulldozer track marks leading to one of the most important historic sites of Sebastia. He explained the Israeli bulldozers are digging under a Roman wall in an attempt to find archaeological evidence proving the existence of Jews in the area. However, he said the haphazard way in which they are digging is causing irreversible damage to the site.
As you see the signs of the tractor here,
Yes.
the bulldozer, this is what you see here is some signs of walls belonging to the Roman and Byzantine period. This is actually a wall. A wall is part of building, a public building belonging to the either Roman or Byzantine period. But when you dig with a bulldozer, you can't know the exact date for every stratum. So they are damaging everything. Even if there is an object, like a coin, like any ceramic,
Yes.
which gives you the date, it will be taken by the bulldozer without any studying for this. And also you see here, it is just working in a desert, not in archaeological place.
Right.
To work in archaeological place, you need to be working according to the standards, the archaeological standards, which is universal standard, admitted by the UNESCO and all other agreements, universal agreements.
And what have UNESCO said about this dig?
Even to dig according to the standards of the UNESCO, it is not, they haven't the right to dig here. Why? Because this place is, they are an occupation, and any occupation haven't the right to dig in the territories which is occupied.
Yes, I see.
They are not digging, and also digging without any respect for the archaeological
Is this UNESCO
system.
World Heritage Site?
Yes.
It is?
No, it is. We are preparing it to be
In the
on
future?
the World Heritage List, yes.
When do you think you may have it?
After having it from the other side, because we can't work in it because it is under occupation until now.
Yes.
Any archaeologist know that the theater consists of many parts. This is the seats, and also from this part there is another part of the theater, which includes the stage and the pre-stage and the briskini, which is were devoted for the management of the theater.
Yes.
So any archaeologist know that there is something here to be worked as according to the standard, archaeological standard, not by using a bulldozer
Right.
or a tractor.
Okay. What had this been originally used for? This is an amphitheatre.
This is a theater, not amphitheater. The amphitheater is different from theater. The amphitheater should be a circular one, and even the sports were held in amphitheater is different from the theater. The amphitheater devoted for the, in between struggle between animal and animal, or human against animal. The features of the place different period, but for that I will introduce for you our guide Salim from Sebastia. He's living here in Sebastia. He's a tour guide.
Thank you very much for joining us. And Salim, you're from Sebastia?
Yes, I'm from Sebastia.
Okay, and you lead tours throughout the entire area. Where can you take us to next?
Yes, more than 20 years ago, many tourist guides came to Sebastia, and I and my friends here go with the tourist guide to Sebastia and show them to the many archaeological sites here in Sebastia.
Remains from the Roman period, which is the theater. You can see remains belonging to the Greek period, which is the rounded tower there.
Yes.
And also you can see that fortifications, which is the city wall from the Iron Age, and from the Greek period, and also from the Assyrian period.
Right.
At the same picture here, as you see, this is an historical panorama for these periods.
Our tour guide Salim explained this area is the most important site of Sebastia, as it contains every layer of history of the area and remains in a very good state of repair. However, he said due to the tour guides and Palestinian historians having limited access to the area, it is left vulnerable to looting.
There is a danger on an archaeological site. Many years ago, because of the occupation, and the awareness of the people here, and the huge money or a huge amount of money that is put in order to buy some pieces of archaeological site by the Jews. All of these push the people here in Palestine and other Palestine maybe in order to not keep outside of the archaeological site. But if you make a study, you will find 1.5% of the ancient Samaria of Sebastia that found here. Only very few archaeological sites that made by Harvard's expedition team.
This area contains a myriad of archaeological evidence of centuries of civilizations, from the Hellenistic tower just behind me, to the Iron Age and Byzantine history just above me, and all the way down to the Roman theatre below our feet. However, as you can see from the Israeli bulldozer marks cutting straight through it, this is destroying the very evidence of these civilizations. I was led to the historic centre of the ancient city, but this time crossing from the Israeli-controlled Area C to Palestinian-controlled Area B. Here I found there was a dramatic difference in the upkeep and reconstruction of the historic sites. I met with the head of the municipality in Sebastia, Dr. Nizar Kayed, who took me to the ancient site of the Patriarch's tomb and to the area in which the Christian Saint John the Baptist was imprisoned, killed and buried over 2 centuries ago. So obviously you've re-repaired this, re-renovated.
Yeah, yes.
And this is actually a good example of what Sebastia in the area could actually look like.
Yes, and we can. This is a good example good for tourism and visitors. And there, the Christian Hajj was from here. One of the sites of was Christian Hajj is here. And we here doing a project for a museum. And we are preparing it. I hope this year will be opened.
Wow.
This is interesting place.
This is incredible.
Yeah. This is the prison. This is the door of the prison.
Right, so it's a heavy iron door, actually.
Yeah.
Right. And tell me, what are these holes in the walls?
This hole is called the tomb. I think this is the tomb here.
Yes. So show me this. This is into the tomb.
Yeah, this tomb there. Here maybe some praying or temporary place in the dome.
So they actually put the holes to see
This is the hole, yes.
through them.
This is the.
And this isn't where he was buried. This was where John the Baptist was imprisoned.
Prison, yes. This is the prison he was put here.
So he just would have stood in this area.
Yeah.
In prison.
Yes.
Brilliant. So tell me a bit about this area.
Yes, this is a statue of Herodotus when he killed Jews. was so he's pushing his bread.
Right.
This is pan. Here, two stashes, unfortunately, was taken by Israeli authority. Salome, which we dance, and another one. And we are always think about these two stashes to take their place here in Palestine.
When were they taken?
In the 90s, beginning of the 90s.
And why did they take them?
They said, and they tried to take this, but the equipment's very heavy. They took this.
And where are these artifacts now?
They took it in their museums.
They're in an Israeli museum
yes.
at the moment.
Yes, and they took very huge amounts of this ruins here. In 1967, there was the war, and with Jordanian, there were many ruins was here. They were taken, and the last one was two.
Dr. Kay had explained to me the majority of historic artifacts inside the tomb had been looted over the decades, and many antiquities are now in Israeli museums. Doctor, it was really wonderful to have you today, and thank you very much for both your expertise and for being our guide around Area B in Sebastia, which is your Palestinian-controlled area.
Yes. Thank you. We'll come to you in any time. We are happy to see you.
Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Salam.
And thank you for our audience, for all the people at the home, and our crew who have joined us today in Sebastia for Coffee in Palestine. Thank you.